Hi everyone, this is Miss Sarah from the from the Willoughby-Eastlake Public Library System, and I'm here to read the second chapter of Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library. If you haven't watched the first chapter being read by the author, Chris Grabenstein, please stop now and follow the link that I will put in the comment section of the YouTube page and also the comments on our Facebook page so that you can listen to the actual author read you the very first chapter of the book. I'm going to start with chapter 2, and I'm going to read more than one chapter because the chapters in this book are really short and there's 56 of them. So if I don't read more than one chapter every day, we're never going to get through this book. So I'm going to read at least to chapter 6. We'll see how that goes. So I just want you guys to know that hopefully I can stop saying and also that the reason I picked this book is that I think it's a very exciting, fun, fast-paced book that's great for everyone to listen to, so I hope you all enjoy it. So let's start with chapter 2. Halfway across town, Dr. Yanina Zinchenko, the world-famous librarian, was walking briskly through the cavernous building that was only days away from its gala grand opening. Alexandriaville's new public library had been under construction for 5 years. All work had been done with the utmost secrecy under the tightest possible security. One crew did the exterior renovations on what had once been the small Ohio city's most magnificent building, the Gold Leaf Bank. Other crews, carpenters, masons, electricians, and plumbers, worked on the interior. No single construction crew stayed on the job longer than 6 weeks. No crew knew what of any of the other crews had done or would be doing. And when all of those crews were finished, several super secret covert crews, highly paid workers who would deny ever having been near the library, Alexandriaville, or the state of Ohio, stealthily applied the final touches. Dr. Zinchenko had supervised the construction project for her employer, a very eccentric, some would say loony, billionaire. Only she knew all the marvels and wonders the incredible new library would hold and hide within its walls. Dr. Zinchenko was a tall woman with blazing red hair. She wore an expensive, custom-tailored business suit, jazzy, high-heeled shoes, a Bluetooth earpiece, and glasses with thick red frames. Heels clicking on the marble floor, fingers tapping on the glass of her very advanced tablet computer, Dr. Zinchenko strode past the control center's red door, under an arch, and into the breathtakingly large circular reading room beneath the library's 3-story tall rotunda. The bank building, which had provided the shell for the new library, had been built in 1931. With towering Corinthian columns, an arched entryway, lots of fancy trim, and a mammoth shimmering gold dome, the building looked like it belonged next door to the triumphant memorials in Washington, D.C., not on this small Ohio town's quaint streets. Dr. Zinchenko paused to stare up at the library's most stunning visual effect, the Wonder Dome. 10 wedge-shaped, high-definition video screens, as brilliant as those in Times Square, lined the underbelly of the dome like so many orange slices. Each screen would operate independently or as part of a spectacular whole. The Wonder Dome could become the constellations of the night sky, a flight through the clouds that made viewers below sense that the whole building had somehow lifted off the ground, or, in Dewey Decimal mode, 10 sections depicting vibrant and constantly changing images associated with each category in the library cataloging system. I have the final numbers for the 4th sector of the Wonder Dome in Dewey mode, Dr. Zinchenko said into her Bluetooth earpiece. 364.1092. She carefully over-enunciated each word to make certain the video artist knew what specific numbers should occasionally drift across the 4th wedge amid the swirling social scientist montage featuring a floating judge's gavel, a tumbling teacher's apple, and a gentle snowfall of holiday icons. The numbers, however, should not appear until 11 a.m. Sunday. Is that clear? Yes, Dr. Zinchenko, replied the tinny voice in her ear. Next, Dr. Zinchenko studied the holographic statues projected into the black crepe-lined recesses cut into the massive stone piers that supported the arched windows from which the Wonder Dome rose. Why are Shakespeare and Dickens still here? They're not on the list for opening night. "Sorry," replied the library's director of holographic imagery, who was also on the conference call. "I'll fix it." "Thank you." Exiting the rotunda, the librarian entered the children's room. It was dim, with only a few work lights glowing, but Dr. Zinchenko had memorized the layout of the miniature tables and was able to march, without bumping her shins, into Story Corner for a final check on her recently installed geese. The flock of 6 audio-animatronic goslings, fluffy robots with ping-pongish eyeballs, created for the new library by Imagineers who used to work for Disney World, stood perched atop an angled bookcase in the corner. Mother Goose in her bonnet and granny glasses was frozen in the center. "This is Librarian 1, said Dr. Zinchenko, loud enough for the microphones hidden in the ceiling to pick up her voice. "Initiate storytime sequence." The geese sprang into mechanical life. Nursery rhyme. The geese honked out "Ba Ba Black Sheep" in 6-part harmony. Treasure Island. The birds yo-ho-hoed their way through 15 men on a dead man's chest. Dr. Zinchenko clapped her hands. The rollicking geese stopped singing and swaying. "One more," she said, squinting. She saw a book sitting on a nearby table. Walter the Farting Dog. The 6 geese spun around and farted, their tail feathers flipping and up in sync with the noisy blasts. Excellent. End story time. The geese slumped back into their sleep mode. Dr. Zinchenko made one more tick on her computer tablet. Her final punch list was growing shorter and shorter, which was a very good thing. The library's grand opening was set for Friday night. Dr. Z and her army of associates had only a few days left to smooth out any kinks in the library's complex operating system. Suddenly, Dr. Zinchenko heard a low, rumbling growl. Turning around, she was eyeball to icy blue eyeball with a very rare white tiger. Dr. Zinchenko sighed and touched her Bluetooth earpiece. "Ms. G, this is Dr. Z. What is our white Bengal tiger doing in the children's department?" "I see. Apparently there was a slight misunderstanding. We do not want him permanently positioned near the Jungle Book. Check the call number. 599.757. Right. He should be in zoology. Yes, please, right away. Thank you, Ms. G." And like a vanishing mirage, the tiger disappeared. Chapter 3. Of course, even though he was grounded, Kyle Keely still had to go to school. "Mike, Curtis, Kyle, time to wake up," his mother called from down in the kitchen. Kyle plopped his feet on the floor, rubbed his eyes, and sleepily looked around his room. The computer handed down from his brother Curtis was sitting in the desk that used to belong to his other brother Mike. The rug on the floor with its Cincinnati Reds logo had also been Mike's when he was 12 years old. The books lined up in the bookcase had been lined up on Mike's and Curtis's shelves, except for the one that Kyle got each year for Christmas from his grandmother. He still hadn't read last year's edition. Kyle wasn't big on books, unless they were instruction manuals or a hint guide to a video game. He had a Sony PlayStation set up in his family room. It wasn't the high-def Blu-ray PS3. It was the one Santa had brought Mike maybe 4 years earlier. Mike kept the brand new Blu-ray model locked up in his bedroom. But still, clunky that it was, the 4-year-old gaming console in the family room worked. Except this week. That's my cat. Say hi. You want to say hi to everybody? All right. Well, it worked, but Kyle's dad had taken away his TV and computer privileges, so unless he wanted to hear his hard drive hum, there was really no point in firing up the PlayStation until next Sunday, when his sentence ended. "When you're grounded in this house," his father had said, "you're grounded." If Kyle needed a computer for homework during his last week of school, he could use his mom's, the one in the kitchen. His mom had no games on her computer. Okay, she had Diner Dash, but that didn't really count. Being grounded in the Keely household meant you couldn't do anything except, as his dad put it, think about what you did and what caused you to be grounded. Kyle knew what he had done. He'd broken a window. But hey, I also beat my big brothers. "Good morning, Kyle," his mom said when he hit the kitchen. She was sitting at her computer desk, sipping coffee and tapping keys. "Grab a toaster tart for breakfast." Curtis and Mike were already in the kitchen, chowing down on the last of the good toaster tarts, the frosted cupcake swirls. They'd left Kyle the unfrosted brown sugar cinnamon. the ones that tasted like the box they came in. New library opens Friday, just in time for summer vacation, Kyle's mom mumbled, reading her computer screen. It's been 12 years since they tore down the old one. Listen to this, boys. Dr. Yanina Zinchenko, the new public library's head librarian, promises that patrons will be surprised by what they find inside. Really? Said Kyle, who would always liked a good surprise. I wonder what'll have in there. Books maybe? Said Mike. It's a library, Kyle. Still, said Curtis. I can't wait to get my new library card. Because you're a nerd, said Mike. I prefer the term geek, said Curtis. Well, I gotta go, said Kyle, grabbing his backpack. Don't want to miss the bus. He hurried out the door. What Kyle really didn't want to miss were his friends. A lot of them had Sony PSPs and Nintendo 3DSs, loaded with lots and lots of games. Kyle fist bumped and knuckle knocked on his way up the bus aisle to his usual seats. Almost everybody wanted to say hey to him, except, of course, Sierra Russell. Like always, Sierra, who was a 7th grader, was sitting in the back of the bus, her nose buried in a book. Probably one of those about girls who lived in tiny homes on the prairie or something. Ever since her parents divorced and her dad moved out of town, Sierra Russell had been incredibly quiet and spent all of her free time reading. Nice shirt, said Akemi Hughes as Kyle slid into the seat beside her. Thanks, it used to be Mike's. Doesn't matter, it's still cool. Akemi's mother was Asian, her dad Irish. She had very long, jet black hair, extremely blue eyes, and a ton of freckles. What are you playing? Kyle asked, because Akemi was frantically working the controls of her PSP 3000. Squirrel Squad, said Akemi. One of Mr. Lemoncello's best, said Kyle, who had the game on his PlayStation. The one he couldn't play for a week. You need a hand? Nah. Watch out for the beehives. I know about the beehives, Kyle. I'm just saying. Yes. What? I cleared level 6. Finally. Awesome. Kyle did not mention that he was up to level 27. Akemi was his best friend. Friends didn't gloat to friends. When I shot the squirrels at the falcons, said Akemi, the pilots parachuted. If a squirrel bit the pilot on the butt, I got a 50-point bonus. Yes, in Mr. Lemoncello's catapulting critters game, there were all sorts of wacky jokes. The falcons weren't birds. They were F-16 Falcon fighter jets. And the squirrels, they were nuts. Totally bonkers. With swishy whirlpool eyes, they flew through the air, jabbering gibberish. They bit butts. This was one of the main reasons why Kyle thought everything that came out of Mr. Lemoncello's imagination factory, board games, puzzles, video games, was amazingly awesome. For Mr. Lemoncello, a game just wasn't a game if it wasn't a little goofy around the edges. So, did you pick up the bonus code? Asked Kyle. Huh? In the freeze frame there. Akemi studied the screen. Turn it over. Akemi did. See that number tucked into the corner? Type that in the next time the home screen asks you for a password. Why? What happens? You'll see. Akemi slugged him in the arm. What? Well, don't be surprised if you start flinging flaming squirrels on level 7. Get out. Try it, you'll see. I will, this afternoon. So did you write your extra credit essay? Huh? What essay? The one that's due today? About the new public library? Refresh my memory. Akemi sighed. Because the old library was torn down 12 years ago, the 12-year-olds who write the best essays on why I'm excited about the new public library will get to go to the library lock-in this Friday night. Huh? The winners will spend the night in the new library before anyone else gets to see the place. Is this like that movie Night at the Museum? Will the books come alive and chase people around and junk? No, but there will probably be free movies and food and prizes and games. All of a sudden, Kyle was interested. All right, I'm going to stop there, and I'll read a couple more chapters and post them today too, just so we can all have a break and I can get some water. So I will see you guys soon.